Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the story of the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin. While Canada officially stopped producing pennies in 2012, these little copper-plated coins are still popular with collectors. The 2003 issue, in particular, has some unique history and design features worth exploring, so let's take a detailed look at this small but important piece of Canadian currency. Historical background. The Canadian 1-cent coin has been around since 1858, making it one of the oldest coin denominations in the country's history. By 2003, however, the penny had already started to lose its value in everyday transactions because of inflation. It cost the Royal Canadian Mint more to produce each cent than the coin was actually worth, setting the stage for its eventual discontinuation. But before that happened, the 2003 penny was struck in large numbers for circulation. Minting details. The 2003 1-cent coin was produced at the Royal Canadian Mint, and millions were struck for general use. What makes this year a little more interesting is that two different obverse designs were used in 2003. One was the older portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Dora de Pedery Hunt, and the other was the brand-new portrait by Susanna Blunt, which has no crown. Collectors often look for both versions to complete their sets, since they were released in the same year. Metal composition and size. By 2003, Canadian pennies were no longer made from mostly copper. Instead, they were struck from a steel core with a thin copper plating. This change had been made in 2000 to save on costs. The coin weighs 2.35 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a smooth edge. Although it looks coppery on the outside, the steel composition underneath makes it magnetic, a neat feature that surprises many collectors when they test it. Obverse design. On the obverse of the 2003 penny, as mentioned earlier, there are two different portraits of Queen Elizabeth II. The older design by Dora de Pedery Hunt shows the Queen wearing a tiara, while the new Susanna Blunt portrait introduced in 2003 shows the Queen without a crown, facing right, with a softer and more modern look. This was the first time in over 50 years that a new portrait appeared on Canadian coins, making it historically significant. Reverse design. The reverse side of the coin features the iconic maple leaf twig, designed by George Kruger Gray, which has been on the Canadian penny since 1937. It shows two maple leaves attached to a twig, symbolizing the nation's identity and natural heritage. The denomination 1 cent and the word Canada appear along with the date, 2003. It's a simple but powerful design that remained unchanged for decades and is one of Canada's most recognized coin images. Circulation and condition. In circulation, most 2003 pennies are easy to find and often show signs of wear, such as dull surfaces, scratches, or loss of luster. Collectors prefer coins in uncirculated or mint condition, where the details of the maple leaves and the Queen's portrait are crisp and free of blemishes. Proof and specimen versions were also made for collector sets, featuring higher quality finishes that are much more valuable today than circulated examples. Collector value. So, how much is a 2003 Canadian penny worth today? In circulated condition, it typically has only nominal value, since so many were made. However, uncirculated examples can be worth around 50 cents to a few dollars depending on grade. Proof versions or coins with a new Susanna Blunt portrait in pristine condition can fetch even more. Special errors or minting mistakes, such as double dies or misstrikes, can be significantly more valuable to collectors. Errors and varieties. One of the reasons the 2003 penny is so interesting is because of the transition in designs. Collectors often look for both portrait varieties, the tiara portrait and the uncrowned portrait, to complete their collections. Error coins are also worth seeking out, such as those with die cracks, off-center strikes, or variations in the copper plating. Since millions were struck, errors are not extremely rare, but they always add extra collectible value. Conclusion. In summary, the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin is more than just a small piece of pocket change. It marks an important transition year for Canadian currency, with the introduction of a new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a change in composition, and the continuation of the maple leaf design that has defined the penny for decades. While most examples aren't particularly valuable, uncirculated coins, proof sets, and error varieties are definitely worth collecting. Even though Canada no longer produces the penny, coins like the 2003 issue remain an important piece of the country's monetary history.